Have you ever felt like your body just isn't keeping up the way it used to? Maybe getting out of bed takes a little longer these days, or a walk around the neighborhood leaves you more winded than it should. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Aging can bring changes that feel frustrating, even scary. But here's the truth. Slowing down doesn't have to be your new normal. Let me introduce you to Margaret. At 74, Margaret had always been fiercely independent. She's lived alone for many years, never married, no children, so she's used to relying on herself. She did her own shopping, kept her little apartment neat, and took pride in staying sharp and organized. There was a quiet dignity in doing things her own way. But over time, she started noticing small things, like hesitating before climbing stairs or gripping furniture tighter to steady herself. She'd catch her breath just walking from the kitchen to the bedroom. Simple tasks like tying her shoes or standing up from the couch became daily battles. She didn't want to ask for help, but the fear of needing it someday crept in. The fear of falling, of being found too late, the fear of losing her freedom. She thought, is this just what getting older means? Do I have to accept feeling weaker every year? If you've ever felt that way, I want you to know this. Your body is far more resilient than you think. Aging doesn't have to mean surrendering to limitations. Margaret's story is proof of that. Like many of us, she believed decline was inevitable, until she discovered that small, consistent steps could reignite her strength, energy, and confidence. In this video, we're going to explore how you can do the same. We'll break down 7 simple science-backed habits, from gentle movements to mindset shifts, that helped Margaret go from fearing her next step to walking with ease. These aren't drastic overhauls or punishing workouts. They're practical, everyday changes that thousands like her have used to reclaim their mobility and independence. Think of it as a roadmap to feeling strong, steady, and fully alive in your own body, no matter your age. And the best part? Margaret started with just 5 minutes a day. It's never too late to rewrite your story. Let's begin. 1. You might be surprised at how powerful something as simple as movement can be. When Margaret first started feeling unsteady, her first instinct was to slow down and do less. Living alone, the fear of falling without anyone around to help became very real. She started avoiding stairs, skipped her daily walks, and stayed close to her armchair. At first, it felt like the safe thing to do, but deep down, she also felt a growing sense of frustration and even a little grief. The freedom she once took for granted was slipping away, and she didn't know how to stop it. She thought resting more would help, but over time, she noticed it was making things worse. The less she moved, the stiffer she felt. Her muscles weakened, and even small tasks started to feel like big obstacles. It was a slow cycle of decline, and it crept up quietly. It's a bit like a car that hasn't been driven for too long. Leave it sitting in the garage, and it starts to fall apart, little by little. The battery drains, the tires deflate, the engine gets sluggish. Not because the car is broken, but because it simply hasn't been used. Our bodies are the same way. The longer we go without moving, the more things seize up, not just physically, but mentally too. When mornings feel slow and stiff, try a few gentle stretches before you even leave the bed. And if stairs seem a bit too much, start by practicing with one low step at home. These small actions might feel like baby steps, but they lay the groundwork for bigger changes. What helped shift everything for Margaret was the realization that movement didn't have to mean long walks or gym workouts. It could start with just 5 minutes a day. That's exactly what she did. She began by walking gently around her living room, holding on to the back of a chair if she needed to. She didn't push herself to go far, just enough to get her body moving. And day by day, that tiny effort began to build momentum. The truth is, our bodies are made to move. Even as we age, our muscles respond to activity. The key is consistency, not intensity. You don't need to train like an athlete. You just need to take the first step, literally, a short stroll after breakfast, a few minutes of light stretching while the kettle boils. even marching in place during a TV commercial. It all counts, and it all helps. Margaret's confidence didn't come overnight, but as she made movement part of her routine, she began to feel stronger. Her balance improved. Her posture felt steadier. And perhaps, most importantly, she began to trust her body again. If you've been avoiding movement because you're afraid of falling or doing it wrong, you're not alone. But staying still won't protect you. It only holds you back. Your body is more capable than you think. Even small steps can lead to big changes. So start small. Start where you are. Just start. 2. Fatigue is one of the most frustrating parts of aging. That dragging, low-energy feeling that seems to stick around no matter how much you rest. You wake up tired, drift through the day low on energy, and by evening, you're worn out, without having done much at all. It's easy to assume it's just a normal part of growing older, but more often than not, it's not age. It's your habits quietly wearing you down. Margaret knew it well. She used to brush it off as just getting older. But after a while, she began to wonder, was it really just age or was something else going on? There were mornings she'd wake up feeling like she hadn't slept at all. Climbing out of bed took effort. Even simple things like preparing breakfast or reading the newspaper left her wanting to lie back down. At first, she blamed herself, thinking maybe she was just too old to feel energetic again. But that wasn't the full picture. What Margaret came to realize, slowly and surely, was that her fatigue wasn't just about the number of candles on her birthday cake. It was about her habits, the small things often overlooked that were silently draining her energy day after day. Her sleep was inconsistent. Some nights she stayed up watching TV too late. Other nights she lay in bed with a racing mind. She hadn't been drinking enough water. With no one reminding her and no big appetite, she often skipped meals or grabbed something sugary for a quick fix. And she had almost completely stopped moving during the day. She thought resting more would help, but in reality, staying still was only making her feel more tired, more stiff, more disconnected from her own body. It was eye-opening. Fatigue, it turns out, isn't a sentence. It's a signal. Feeling sluggish all the time doesn't always come from age. It often starts with how we care for our bodies. Trouble sleeping, not moving enough, or forgetting to drink water can all chip away at your energy. Dehydration is sneaky. It makes you feel wiped out before you even realize what's wrong. Poor sleep leaves your brain feeling fuzzy. And skipping movement, that just makes your body feel heavier. Sometimes small changes in these areas can make a big difference. Especially sleep isn't just about resting. It's when your body repairs, restores, and recharges. Margaret didn't realize how much poor sleep was draining her until she made a change. She committed to a regular bedtime, created a calming wind-down routine, and turned her bedroom into a peaceful, screen-free sanctuary. No more bright lights, no late-night scrolling, just calm. Within a week, she felt the difference. Her mornings were easier, her mind was clearer, and her body moved with more ease. Good sleep changed everything. It wasn't magic. It was simply giving her body the chance to heal every single night. Margaret started making other small changes too. A glass of water before every meal, and those 5-minute movement breaks that gently reawakened her body and mind. She didn't transform overnight, but slowly the fog began to lift. Her mind felt clearer. Her energy started to come back. And for the first time in a long while, she felt like herself again. If you've been feeling tired all the time, don't be too quick to blame age. Sometimes it's the little habits, not your years, that are holding you back. Your body wants to feel better, and with a few simple shifts, it absolutely can. 3. Margaret used to tell herself all the time, I'm too old for this. Too old to go for walks, too old to try new things, too old to change. Every ache, every stiff joint felt like a sign that her best days were behind her. But one day something clicked. She realized aging doesn't have to mean giving up. It can mean starting fresh. Instead of thinking about everything she couldn't do anymore, she began asking, what can I still do? She swapped "I can't" for "maybe I can." And that little shift in thinking, it made a big difference. Once she stopped limiting herself in her mind, her habits began to change too. She started moving more, even just a few steps at a time. She ate a little better, slept more regularly, and slowly began feeling stronger. Her energy came back. Her confidence grew. Life felt a little lighter again. The truth is, how you think shapes how you feel. That mindset shift didn't just help Margaret, it can help you too. Aging isn't the end of the road. It's just a new chapter. And you get to choose how to write it. Start small. Take a short walk. Drink a glass of water. Go to bed a little earlier tonight. Every little change adds up. You're not too old. You're just getting started. 4. Most people don't realize there's a silent threat hiding in plain sight, something built into your everyday routine. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or 75. If you're doing this one thing too much, you're putting your body at risk. Margaret used to think she was staying active enough. She wasn't running marathons, but she took short walks, kept up with housework, and always stayed busy in her own way. But despite all that, her legs felt weaker, her back ached more often, and getting up from the couch seemed to take a little more effort with each passing week. She chalked it up to aging, just another part of getting older. What she didn't realize was that the real problem wasn't what she was doing. It was all the time she spent not moving. Like many of us, Margaret spent a lot of her day sitting, eating breakfast at the table, watching a few episodes of her favorite shows, reading the newspaper, checking her phone, maybe calling a friend or two. When she finally started paying attention, it added up to more than 8 hours a day. Just sitting. No wonder her legs felt like lead. Here's the thing. Our bodies weren't built to sit this much. Especially as we get older, long periods of sitting can quietly chip away at our health. It slows down circulation, weakens muscles, reduces flexibility, and even affects how well our brain functions. In fact, researchers from the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that adults over 60 who sit more than 7 hours a day are at significantly higher risk of death, regardless of how much they exercise. It's not just a matter of comfort, it's a matter of survival. Margaret was shocked when she read that. She had always believed that her short walks and occasional stretches were enough to cancel out all the sitting. But science says otherwise. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity revealed that breaking up long periods of sitting with short, frequent movement actually improves blood sugar control, boosts circulation, and helps prevent the kind of muscle loss that leads to falls and frailty. That changed everything for her. Margaret stopped thinking of movement as exercise and started thinking of it as protection, as medicine. She didn't join a gym or follow a strict workout plan. She just stood up more. She set a gentle reminder every hour to get up from her chair. She started marching in place while brushing her teeth, pacing during phone calls, even dancing a little while waiting for her tea to brew. The results weren't instant, but they were undeniable. Her legs felt more stable. Her knees didn't creak so much. Even her balance improved. And what surprised her most? She felt more awake, more present, as if shaking off the stiffness brought her mind back to life too. We often think aging takes away our strength, but in truth, it's often our habits that slowly steal it from us, quietly, subtly, day by day. The good news is we can take it back. Right now, no matter your age, your body still responds to movement. It still builds strength, rebuilds tissue, and reawakens energy. So if you've been sitting for a while, I invite you, stand up, stretch your arms overhead, wiggle your toes, take a short walk to the kitchen and back. It may feel small, but it matters. Every time you stand, every time you move, you're sending your body a powerful message. I'm still here and I still care. That's what Margaret learned. And maybe it's what you needed to hear today. 5. Margaret had been doing everything right. Drinking more water, moving a little each day, going to bed on time. And yet something still felt off. Her joints ached more than usual. Her mood dipped without warning. Some days her energy just didn't show up at all. It was frustrating, especially after all the small steps she'd been taking to feel better. One afternoon during a routine checkup, her doctor asked her a simple question. How often do you go outside? Margaret blinked, then laughed a little. Not much, I suppose. I opened the window. Does that count? As it turns out, it didn't. What she learned next surprised her. Sunlight isn't just nice, it's necessary. Especially as we age, it becomes one of the most powerful yet overlooked factors in how we feel day to day. That's because sunlight triggers our body to produce vitamin D, which plays a crucial role in keeping bones strong, muscles flexible, and the immune system resilient. Without it, our bodies begin to feel the strain. Literally. Researchers from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that older adults with low vitamin D levels were twice as likely to experience mobility limitations and falls. And a study published in Archives of Internal Medicine revealed that nearly 75% of American adults have insufficient levels of vitamin D, with older adults being the most at risk. Margaret had no idea she was one of them. She'd always thought the little aches and fatigue were just part of getting older. But now she saw it differently. What if it wasn't just age? What if it was a quiet deficiency brought on by spending too many hours inside? So she made a change. Nothing complicated, just 10 minutes of morning sun on the porch with her tea. No distractions, no errands, just warmth on her face and time to breathe. At first it felt like a small act, but within a few weeks, she noticed a real difference. Her joints felt less stiff. Her mood lifted. She even started sleeping better at night. It wasn't magic, it was biology. Sunlight helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle, supports calcium absorption for strong bones, and even helps lift serotonin levels to improve mood. It's nature's prescription, and it's free. Margaret didn't need to spend hours outside. Just a short walk after breakfast or a quiet moment in the garden each day. She made sunlight part of her routine, like brushing her teeth, and slowly but surely, she started feeling more like herself again. If you've been feeling low, tired, or stiff, take a moment to ask yourself, when was the last time you really let the sun touch your skin? Just 10 to 15 minutes a day, especially in the morning, can work wonders. Find a sunny window, step outside on the porch, or walk around the block. Sunlight is more than a pleasant feeling. It's a lifeline. It reminds your body to heal, to strengthen, to thrive. Just like it reminded Margaret, and just like it can remind you too. 6. Margaret had always been steady on her feet, until one day she wasn't. It started with small things, a stumble over the edge of a rug, a misstep on the front porch stairs. At first she laughed it off, but when she nearly fell reaching for a cup in the kitchen, it scared her. What if she really did fall? What if she couldn't get up? That moment stayed with her, because for many older adults, falling isn't just a minor accident, it can be life-changing. The CDC reports that 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls each year, and falls are the leading cause of injury-related hospitalizations in seniors. It's not just the physical pain, it's the fear, the loss of confidence, the sudden hesitation with every step. Margaret didn't want that to be her story, and it doesn't have to be yours either. She began learning about balance, not just as something you're born with, but something you can train. Just like muscles get stronger with use, so does your sense of balance. And the good news? You don't need fancy equipment or a gym membership to start. In fact, some of the most effective exercises can be done right in your living room. Here's why it matters. 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls each year, and even close calls can chip away at confidence. But Margaret's doctor shared a game-changing truth. Weak legs and shaky balance cause most near falls, and simple daily exercises can rebuild both. You don't need to wait for a crisis, he told her. Let's get ahead of it. So she started small. Every morning, while waiting for her coffee to brew, she'd grip the kitchen counter and practice lifting one leg sideways. Slow and steady, like she was painting a line on the wall with her toes. At first, her hips trembled, but within weeks, she felt sturdier. "Turns out my legs just needed a reminder," she said. Then came her sidewalk secret, the heel-to-toe walk. She'd pretend the tiles in her hallway were a balance beam, placing one foot precisely in front of the other. "Feels like being a kid again," she chuckled. Science backs her up. A 2021 study found this simple drill sharpens coordination better than fancy gadgets. The truth is, we don't lose balance just because we age. We lose it when we stop using it, and that means we can get it back. Margaret didn't become a dancer or an athlete. She became steady again, sure on her feet, sure in herself, and so can you. Here's your takeaway. Sit tall right now and march your knees gently. Even 2 minutes a day wakes up your core, the anchor that keeps you upright. If standing feels risky, start seated. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Margaret's mantra: better a shaky start than no start at all. And don't forget the basics. Tie those shoelaces snug, clear throw rugs, and chat with your doctor. Near falls are wake-up calls, not life sentences. Margaret's back to her walks now, stepping a little lighter, a little braver. Your turn. Try one move today. Your body and your future self will remember. 7. Margaret had come a long way. Just months earlier, she'd been feeling sluggish, stiff, and constantly worn down. But step by step, she had started reclaiming her health. She moved more, slept better, drank more water, did light exercises to strengthen her legs and improve balance. The changes were real. She felt stronger, more stable, and even her walks to the mailbox were starting to feel effortless again. But something still wasn't right. Even with all the progress she'd made, there was a tension that wouldn't go away. Her body, though steadier, still felt tight and stiff in the mornings. And her mind? It was like a radio playing static in the background. Worries about falling, about aging, about the future she couldn't quite picture anymore. Sleep had improved, but some nights she still tossed and turned with anxious thoughts. The energy was there, but peace hadn't fully arrived. That's when she found the missing piece. It wasn't another pill or a new machine. It wasn't even something strenuous. It was something much quieter, something almost invisible from the outside. Margaret discovered mindful movement, specifically yoga and Tai Chi. She didn't join a studio or buy a bunch of gear. She started right in her living room, barefoot, in her pajamas, with a simple 5-minute routine she found online. No fancy poses, no headstands, just gentle stretches, slow breathing, and fluid motions. The first time she tried it, she felt silly and uncertain. Her balance wobbled, her joints creaked. But by the end of those 5 minutes, something in her had softened. Over the next few weeks, she kept showing up, just 5 or 10 minutes a day. That quiet consistency began to change everything. Margaret's muscles, once tense and tight, started to feel more relaxed. Her hips, which used to ache after sitting too long, moved more freely. Her back didn't complain as much when she bent down to tie her shoes. But what surprised her the most was what happened inside her mind. She felt calmer. The breathing techniques that once felt awkward now grounded her during moments of worry. Her thoughts slowed down. Her sleep became deeper and more restful. She began responding to small daily stresses, like forgetting where she put her glasses, not with frustration, but with a breath, a chuckle, and a clear-headed return to the present. What Margaret had stumbled into was more than a stretching routine. It was mind-body harmony. Science supports what she experienced. A review in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that Tai Chi improves not just physical balance, but emotional stability, significantly reducing anxiety and fear of falling in older adults. Yoga, too, has been shown to improve flexibility, core strength, and reduce symptoms of depression and insomnia. Harvard researchers have even noted that Tai Chi may improve proprioception, the body's ability to sense its position in space, which is key to preventing falls. For Margaret, the shift was profound. One day while brushing her teeth, she caught herself slowly shifting her weight from one foot to the other, like she'd learned in Tai Chi class. "Look at me," she thought, smiling at her reflection. "I trust my legs again." That trust had been missing for a long time. Before yoga and Tai Chi, every uneven sidewalk felt like a risk. Now she walked taller, not because she was younger, but because she was steadier, inside and out. And here's the truth she wants others to hear. You don't need to be young, bendy, or athletic to begin. You don't need fancy mats or a class of 20 people. All it takes is a quiet corner, a soft breath, and the willingness to start. Just like Margaret did. Some mornings she still wakes up a little stiff, and some days the world still feels overwhelming. But now she has tools, not just stretches, but small rituals that bring her back to center. 5 minutes of movement, a slow breath, a gentle reminder, I am here, I am safe, I am strong. The power of mindful movement isn't in how deep you stretch or how long you can hold a pose. It's in how it connects you to your body again, how it helps you hear what your muscles are saying, how it allows your breath to speak to your nervous system, how it makes space for peace, for presence, for confidence to grow. Margaret often says now, I'm not just moving better, I'm living better. Her days feel fuller, not because they're busier, but because they're calmer, more grounded, more her. And that's the final missing piece so many of us overlook. We chase physical strength, better sleep, or more energy. And those things matter deeply. But to truly feel well, we also need stillness. We need softness. We need to move, not just to do, but to feel. So if you're listening to this and thinking, but I'm too old, too stiff, too anxious, pause, breathe. Know that those thoughts are common, but they don't have to be your truth. You can start where you are, right now, sitting tall in your chair, rolling your shoulders back, taking one slow, steady breath in and out. Let that be your first move. Then maybe tomorrow, add another. A gentle seated twist, a breath that rises and falls like a wave, a step into something new, not perfect, but honest. Let it be your way of saying, I care for myself. I believe in what's still possible. Because if Margaret can do it with stiff hips, anxious nights, and a lifetime of habits behind her, so can you. It's never too late to begin again. The smallest shift today could become the strength, the peace, and the balance you've been missing. Start small, stay consistent, and trust that even the softest movements can lead to the strongest change. So now you've seen Margaret's journey, from regaining her strength and balance to discovering that final missing piece, mind-body harmony. Her story reminds us that healthy aging isn't just about physical fitness. It's about restoring trust in your body, calming your mind, and finding peace in your everyday moments. You don't need to change everything overnight. A few steps in your hallway, a quiet breath in the morning, or 5 minutes of gentle movement can start to shift how you feel, inside and out. The science is clear, and Margaret's experience proves it. Small, consistent actions not only reduce your risk of falling, they also rebuild your confidence, ease long-held tension, and bring more joy into your life. So here's your invitation. Try just one thing today. Maybe it's standing a little taller. Maybe it's lifting your knees while seated. Maybe it's simply pausing to breathe. Whatever it is, let it be your way of saying, I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still strong. Because aging well isn't about fighting time. It's about moving with it, gracefully and courageously. You've got this. And your body, your mind, and your future self will thank you.